Greetings, Corpse Clubbers, and welcome to another episode of Corpse Club Horror BFFs. I am one of your horror BFFs, Patrick Bromley, joined as always by my horror BFF, the managing editor of DailyDead.com, Heather Wixson. Hi, Heather.
Hello, horror BFF. I wanted to see how many times we could work in horror BFF into the first 10 seconds of the show.
We're really trying to get this branding thing down.
I'm nothing but a marketing guru. So.
Oh, nice. Well, this is good news because we really have to make this horror BFF thing catch on.
It's only been 2 years, right? Or 2.5 since we switched from Horrorgens over to horror BFFs.
And yet we have yet to have a horror BFFs pull quote.
I know.
There are no horror BFF t-shirts. Nobody's online talking about. I was listening to the horror BFFs. Come on now.
I know.
We're trying here.
We're obviously screwing it up somewhere.
For sure.
So, well, also we weren't around last month either, so
that could be it too. We've just out of sight, out of mind.
We have to give the audience what they want, and that's more horror BFFs.
This month on Horror BFFs, it is summer, so we decided to program some summer slasher marathons. We've done marathons in the past. We're going to do an all-nighter of summer slasher movies. Yes, I'm excited.
I don't know why. I mean, maybe it's because so many of them take place at a summer camp that I don't know, when it hits summer, I'm in full slasher mode.
Yeah.
I mean, and it isn't and I don't generally just watch the Friday 13th or Birdings or things like that, but it's they definitely come up a lot more during the summer.
Okay.
Probably summer into October is what I call slasher season.
What do you switch in October? From slashers to something else?
I go to a little more stuff that feels more Halloweenish.
Okay.
So, I go into more the autumnal type.
Autumnal horror.
Or just the comfort food horror and stuff like that, like Creep Show and, being basic trick or treat. You know what I mean? I switch into the Halloweens. It's funny. Even though I do sometimes I'll throw on a Halloween here or there in the summer, I really kind of keep those to October because it just makes them feel more special.
Yeah.
Or at least September. So that way it just feels like it's the season.
Yeah, I feel like I tend to bust them out in September when I'm getting excited for October.
Yeah. I'm right there with you. Yeah. So, and then the summer movies, I tend to sort of we just started watching some of our our favorite summer movies in general. So the other night we put on Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead.
Nice.
Because it's good summer break movie. And then
it's slasher adjacent. It's got Danielle Harris.
Right, and somebody dies.
Yeah.
So
it's right there in the title.
Died. Yeah. And then of course we went to Point Break because I wanted to have and I'm totally blanking on the two actors who actually appear in both Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead and Point Break. But we were let's have a little double feature. And then
is it the kid from the surf shop?
Kid from the surf shop and one of the stoners at the beach.
Nice.
He's one of Kenny's friends. Also,
okay. The redhead guy?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
The one who gets his hair cut by Gary Busey.
I'm proud of myself.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead in 20 years.
Dude, we so need a Blu-ray for it. I'm using this old HBO DVD of it.
Yeah.
And it looks terrible. Sitting far back from it, I was like, oh, okay, no big deal. But we were sitting close to it because we were playing games for our anniversary or whatever. And we were near the TV and I was like, oh my God, this is so terrible looking. But it has David Duchovny being a dirtbag.
A weasel, yeah.
Yes.
That movie always looked like it was shot on 16 millimeter or something. It has such a weird look to it.
It does. I mean, I think it's, one, it's just because it was an HBO produced film. So it wasn't a film in the traditional sense. So I'm wondering if they sort of just went that way because it was always meant for cable.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. But it's but then you watch TV today and everything looks sort of cinematic.
Yeah.
So maybe back then they just didn't really know how to do that. But I love Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead.
It's good. It's one of those movies that has a misleading title because the title makes it sound really stupid, but it's not.
It is not. And Christina Applegate rules in it.
She's always good.
It is. And I'll tell you what, like everybody jokes because like, everybody will always quote the, I'm right on top of that, Rose.
Mm-hmm.
But I will tell you, I actually used to use that all the time in my work life. And it is such invaluable advice because I used to work for this PR lady who it was just her and I, and we always had clients and we always had to do things. And I would always, that was one of the things I would always say, whether we were on calls or I had to like respond to an email. I would always do some form of I'm right on top of that.
Nice.
And it worked. It always worked.
I had a friend who
the
once...
movies aren't helpful.
I had a friend who one year for my birthday made me a T-shirt that said, I'm right on top of that, Rose. And I didn't get the reference. Like I opened it and I looked at it and I was like, oh, thank you. And then there's like a weird pause. And she's like, do you know what it is? And I was like, I don't think I do. Because like I said, I haven't seen the movie in 20 years. So then she explained it to me, and now I will never forget what it's from, and I will always remember.
That's gonna be on your tombstone, right?
It probably is, yeah. Just because I will never forget it now, because I felt so terrible about not getting the reference when she gave me that gift.
That's a nice friend. Nobody's ever given me a I'm right on top of that, Rose T-shirt. Although I haven't seen too many of them, so maybe that needs to happen.
Come on now, Fright Rags.
Right?
You're listening, branded Horror BFFs merchandise.
We're right here.
We're right on top of that Rose T-shirt.
Well, they just did Bill and Ted.
Yeah, really.
So, which I was very happy. My better half got me a Bill and Ted's T-shirt for our anniversary. And I was very excited.
Happy anniversary, by the way.
Thank you. Yes. And I got Bill and Ted socks and guitar picks, too.
Nice. For all the guitar you play?
For all the guitar that I play. Because I just decided amidst everything else that I have going on, I was like, you know what? I'm going to learn guitar.
Now's the time.
Now is the time. I'm like almost like, half of my lifespan probably? What better time than right now? So.
All right. So let's talk about some summer slasher marathons.
Yes. So when I was doing my list, because and I'll explain this, because last time we did this, Patrick was like Mr. Prepared, and he was like, he had everything down to the minutes, and I did not, and I was just willy nilly with my picks. I mean, I probably could have gone over the 12 hours. I didn't know. I don't think I did though, but I was less prepared than Patrick. Today, the shoe is on the other foot.
It sure is. Now I am both willy and nilly.
Yes, you are Willie and Nilly. I, on the other hand, since I recently took a math class, I was like, I'm going to use that to my advantage, and I am going to plan this out down to the minutes. So
nice.
I don't know why I did that, but I was like, well, because last time you were like, well, this movie's only 91 minutes and this movie is 82 minutes, and I was just like, oh my gosh. He put so much thought into this. I have to step up my game. So I did.
Yeah, my feeling was just I programmed 6 movies thinking that, like, if something's 90 minutes, then we'll take a half-hour break in between.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Some of my movies are, like, under 90 minutes. Some of them are over 90 minutes. So I was just working it out.
Yeah. No, that's good. I appreciate it.
Yes. So, and I think, and it also, like, I think, as I told you, like, some of mine aren't like what I would say straight up slashers, but I was kind of going for movies that when I'm watching them, I just feel like it's summer. You feel the heat of them in some cases. Some of them are a little more fun and has a little bit of a release. I kind of went with like a vibe, if you will.
Yeah.
Just vibing. So my first pick is a movie that we actually talked about on Craven a few months ago. Mm-hmm. And I started off with the original The Hills Have Eyes.
Nice.
Because for me, summertime is hitting the road, going to different places, having to deal with murderous cannibal families.
Yeah.
Yes. Nothing says summer like than having to defend yourself against cannibalistic people who live in the mountains of Nevada.
I know
it's a real problem for people in California, actually. When we go to Vegas, you wouldn't believe the amount of murder cannibals we run into on the road.
That is a shame. Because you want to be able to travel in peace. You want to go to Vegas.
I want to support tourism there, but
right.
So I went with the first Hills Have Eyes just because it really felt like there's just something very summery about that movie, about the heat of the daytime and like that cool crispness of the desert air at night. And something very sort of visceral and guttural. And I was like, yes, this is how I want to start things off.
It's kind of a downer to start on.
Yeah, downer, but also kind of like it gets you going a little bit.
Yeah, no, for sure. I didn't pick anything nearly that intense for any of my picks. My picks are all
you're just having a good time.
Yeah, my picks are all very just kind of easy.
Well, get ready for the rest of my list.
Oh no, I spit on your grave second.
I'm going to end everything with martyrs, something nice and light for the summertime.
Yeah, The Hills Have Eyes, the last time I watched it for Craven was like the best it's ever played for me. And I started to question, because for years I've thought that I like the remake better, but this was the first time that I was like, oh no, the original. I mean, I can't pick. I think they're both really good.
They're both really damn good.
They can exist side by side on the shelf. But it was the first time I ever questioned it. Like, maybe I do like the original better. It really, and I wonder how much of that was because I was watching it through such an intense, like, Wes Craven lens because of our conversation, as opposed to just like this, piece of 1970s horror history. But yeah, it's a really good movie. You know, it's just as good. The Hills Have Eyes 2. Yeah.
2?
Yeah.
Look, all I'm saying is we need more horror franchises where not only does the dog live through multiple movies, but is also the hero.
True.
So.
Good job, Beast.
The next franchise that can do that is going to be my new favorite franchise. Mark my words. Come on through Scream 5. Let's start it off.
Oh, boy. Are you going to go to the Scream Marathon at the New Beverly?
So I'm not. Okay, so first of all, that would have been the weekend I would be in Chicago for Flashback if I was going.
Right.
Which I was like, oh my God, like the whole universe was stacked against me. But also there is actually a music festival going on that weekend that we're going to. It's my first festival since September 2019.
Where are your priorities?
I know, but I have to meet all my rave friends again. So yeah, I know. As soon as I realized that coincided with Hard Summer, I was like, oh no. I was like, why? But it's ultimately, if I wasn't going to Hard Summer, I would be going to Flashback. So ultimately, the New Bev just plotted against me, and it was kind of rude of them not to consult with my calendar.
Hard Summer, by the way, the original title for The Hills Have Eyes.
Actually, a lot of these movies you probably could call them Hard Summer.
Well, because the last line of the movie is Bobby turning to his sister and saying, "Boy, this was a hard summer." Bop, 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 bop.
I like that you went with something peppy and I went with womp womp.
Either one works.
It does. It really does.
I was going more like Freeze Frame, produced by Miller Boyett.
Yes. Kind of like a Love Boat style.
Yeah.
Kind of a thing where they like, yay. Which is exactly how you should end the Hills Have Eyes.
Yeah.
If we had a time machine, we could go back and tell Wes, like, no, this is how you need to end the movie.
We've got some ideas, Mr. Craven.
Yes. And we are experts.
So
what did you... Oh, go ahead.
Just, you're going to miss the very rare 35 millimeter print of Scream 4.
Believe me, I know. I know. I'm ultimately torn, but that's also, I know people don't understand like the music that I listen to and stuff.
By people, like, you mean me.
I mean, like everybody.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. Like, cause like, I get it. Like a woman in her 40s probably wouldn't be normally going to like a bunch of EDM shows, like, and hanging out with a bunch of 20-year-olds. But like, I don't know, like my whole life is so structured and so work focused that like the only place I can go and just feel like free of that is like shows like that. I don't know how to explain it. Where I don't have to care. Like I'm not watching something because it pertains to my job in any way. Like I can just go and like be me. I don't have to be Heather Wixson, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Like I can just go and be one of the faceless, nameless people in a crowd of like 40,000.
Got it.
So yeah, I don't know. I'm so torn because of course I want to go to the Screamathon, but it's also like overnight.
Yeah.
I mean, part of it, like the music ends at like 2 a.m. So I could probably make Scream 4 if I got back in time. But, then I'm taking up a seat for somebody who could enjoy the first three.
Sure.
And it's kind of a dick move.
Well, that's very thoughtful of you.
It is. I just, I don't want to be selfish.
Sure.
I want to give them the gift of Scream. So yeah, that was like, I had that realization and I actually like almost started crying because I'm such a dork. I was like, oh no. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this. Like literally the one weekend, the entire summer that I have anything going on. I literally have nothing going on the rest of the summer. The one weekend.
That's everything at once. Yeah.
Everything at once. And that always happens. It's funny. That always happens when I go home for flashback. There's always something going on in LA where I'm just like, oh man, it never fails. So it's just some reason the last week of July tends to always mess with me. So what am I going to do?
The last week of July is when we should program our all-night summer slasher marathons.
Ooh.
Just to make sure nobody can go.
Yeah, right?
Too much else going on.
Yes. I can be watching slashers while I'm dancing. While I'm raving.
Yeah, for sure.
While I'm raving.
All right. So for my first pick, I went with Tourist Trap.
Nice.
From 1979. Because you've got a bunch of friends taking a road trip in the summer, basically the same setup as like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, only instead of running into a family full of cannibals, they run into a bunch of supernatural telekinetic mannequins that move on their own. And sometimes the mannequins move on their own. Sometimes it's just Chuck Connors in a mask. But it's a really great horror movie, a rare PG horror movie, despite being genuinely scary, not super violent. Directed and co-written by David Schmoller, who of course would go on to direct Puppet Master. What? Just today, did you see Charles Band announced his memoir that's coming out?
I did not, but I'm sure you pre-ordered it.
Oh, trust me, I'm all over it. I can't believe I wasn't asked to ghostwrite it.
I'm shocked. Like, how are you not doing like something with this? You should actually just email Charlie and be like, "What's up, guy?" Like,
whole world's against me.
Oh man. Yeah, I actually finally just saw this like in the last year. It was such a huge blind spot for me.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, like, cause like I've seen imagery from it. The artwork is fantastic and it's like haunted me since I was a kid. And I just don't know why, you know what it was? Because it wasn't in Tyranny Isles. Of course it was like, which again, it's like, maybe they weren't doing a whole lot of Charlie Band movies for Tyranny Isles. I don't know. But in any case, I never got around to seeing it like growing up. So I was really happy. I want to say it was like I think I actually watched it last October, finally.
Nice.
And I was very pleased. Yeah, I really, really liked it. I like that you picked it. And I'm mad at myself that I didn't pick it because it's a really good choice. No,
listen, I'm glad that our lists are different. I like that we're going to have different marathons. I didn't see this as a kid either. I didn't see this till I was an adult. I think the first time I watched it was shortly after I first subscribed to Full Moon Streaming because it was on there. and somebody had recommended it to me. I know, like, Stephen King wrote about it a lot I think in Dance Macabre. He talked about it a lot, but so I did not grow up with it, but I saw it as an adult, and it's very unsettling. There's a really cool Pino Donaggio score.
I was just going to say, I love the score for this movie so much.
It's got that little weird ratchety thing that we used to play like in music class as kids, where you like turn the little crank, and it goes. You know the one I'm talking about.
I do.
Yeah. And it's got Tanya Roberts, R.I.P.
Yeah. Yeah. She was, I loved her because, I'm trying to think. I was so happy when she showed up on that 70s show, but her in, is it A View to Kill? That's the one, right?
Yeah.
That's one of the very few Bond movies I remember seeing as a kid.
Okay.
And I think the only reason I ended up watching it was probably because of Grace Jones.
Sure.
And then she was in it, and I was like, oh, she's kind of cool. And then I didn't even realize that she was actually on Charlie's Angels. Like,
right.
When I was a kid, these things didn't kind of line up. But it was when she got onto that 70s show that like it all started to like the tumbler started to fall into place. And I was like, oh my God, she was in Beastmaster.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really liked her on that 70s show. Midge was the best.
Erica and I just rewatched, or I guess it was a first time viewing for her, but we just watched Body Slam the other night, and she's in that too.
Oh, I'm so jealous that you watched that.
Yeah. It's a fun one.
I'm gonna have to catch up with that one because I don't think my other half knows that it actually exists.
Wow.
So
a wrestling movie that he knows nothing about?
I know.
How is this possible?
I don't know, but I'm really excited about it.
It's on Tubi.
Okay, love it. Yeah, I actually this past Sunday, because we were just sort of extending our anniversary celebration, so I actually showed him 3 movies that he's never seen before.
Okay.
Because we're so notorious for just watching like the same movies over and over and over again. And I was like, we're gonna watch movies you've never seen before, and we're gonna expand your horizons. And then he saw 2 more this week that he's never seen before. So it's like, I was like, when's the last time you've ever watched this many new movies in a week? And he was like, never.
What were the 3 that you went with?
Well, I wanted to do a rewatch of Werewolves Within, because we did a show for it for our HCA show. Mm-hmm. So, and I knew he was going to love it. And he did. Like, he laughed like so much through that movie. So for me, it was fun to watch it to kind of catch a lot of the things I missed the first time.
Yeah.
But just to watch him watching it, like he was like, oh my God, he's like, this is my new favorite movie. He was like, this is amazing. So he loved it. And then we went, for years, I've been trying to get him to watch Upgrade.
Oh, okay.
Just because I figured I knew he was going to like it, and he liked like sort of tech action stuff. And I was like, I know this is going to be up your alley. And it's Lee, I was like, I know this is going to be up your alley. And sure enough, it was.
Yeah.
And it's funny because like the first time I saw it, I didn't really love it because it was at South by Southwest. They spent like an hour before the screening doing this weird implant thing where they were putting some sort of tech implant into Jason Blum's hand. And it's already like a midnight screening. And it was also the night of daylight savings time. So when we got out of it, it was also 3 a.m. Yeah. And I was just like so tired and angry, and I had to be up at 9 a.m. for interviews. And I was like, oh my God, I just want to get out of here.
Yeah.
So I was really glad I watched it again after that, because I liked it a lot more the second time, and I liked it a lot more the third time. So that one's really kind of grown on me a lot. And then the third movie I showed him finally was Pump Up the Volume.
Oh, very nice.
Which I can't even believe he'd never seen, because he was like such an anarchy kid when he was growing up. Like he refused to go to school and stuff, so he had to get homeschooled because like he would just not go to school and go to the mall. I go for the bad boys, Patrick.
Yeah, clearly.
So yeah, but he'd never seen it, and it's just like I always knew when I was a kid how much I loved Pump Up the Volume, but as an adult, I now realize like how freaking genius that movie is for the time that it was released in, and for everyone to follow that movie. Mm-hmm. Like I don't think it gets talked about enough.
Yeah, for sure.
So if you ever want to do a Pump Up the Volume podcast, you let me know because I have a lot.
Oh, all right. Good to know.
Yeah.
Let's make that happen.
Good stuff. Yeah. So, but yeah, so that was like a lot of fun to kind of get him watching like stuff that he doesn't always watch. You know, we could have watched the Friday the 13th movies for the 180th time, but you know,
they're just as good.
Oh, they are. We spent Sunday the 13th watching 1 through 5. So.
Oh, nice.
You know, because he was like doing house stuff and I was working on school stuff, and so we just had them on while we were doing stuff. So, but we made it through 5. You'd been so proud of us.
And you loved it this time?
I watched it. Let's just say I like it more than I like 8.
Well, that's not saying much.
It is saying something, at least.
It's not even better than 7?
It's probably like equal with 7 with me, where it's a movie that I have a lot of problems with.
Yeah.
But I'll still watch it.
Okay. I'll take it.
Yeah. If that makes any kind of sense.
Yeah, no, it does. I've got lots of movies like that. Yeah.
So, you know, we were bummed we missed 6, but you know, what are you going to do?
Well, you run out of time.
You do. You know, as we're talking about marathons, you just sort of run out of time.
Exactly. There you go.
Yeah. All right. Are you ready for my next pick?
I'm ready.
All right. So I'm gonna chase The Hills Have Eyes with some more happy fun times in the summer in terms of travels, and we're gonna go a few years later to 1974 with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Oh my gosh! I know. You know what's funny is like I don't watch the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre enough.
I don't either.
I think I've seen 2 probably more than I've seen 1. Which kind of blows my mind because I love 1. I love 2 also for different reasons. But last year when we were at the drive-in and they screened Texas Chainsaw Massacre there, like we were silent the entire time. Like there is such a power to that movie that you don't even know it's happening when it's happening. But then like by the time you hit the end and you're just still sitting there in like sort of this stunned silence, you're like, oh shit. Like, you know. It's like that meme of like, this is cinema, you know, like it's just like, oh my God. But I love like in the summer, I love sweaty, sort of oppressively hot feeling horror movies. And this is like that in a nutshell for me.
It's like the pinnacle of that genre. Yeah.
Of sweaty slashers. Yeah. This is my sweaty slasher marathon. Although there's some that are still fun. We're going to get into some fun movies too. But yeah, I was like, what's a good follow-up for Hills Have Eyes? And I was like, Texas Chainsaw Massacre? Okay. And I was like, you know, to me, it just worked so well last year, and seeing it in the summer. Like there was just something that really like, that was probably, and I'm somebody who got to see the 4K of it in a theater with a Q&A with Toby Hooper. And I still think
done by William Friedkin, right?
Done by William Friedkin, which I do have an audio recording of somewhere. And I still think seeing it at the drive-in last summer is probably my best experience with it.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Yeah, because it hit me like so differently, you know. I mean, I don't know if it was just like pandemic brain and everything was hitting me differently last summer, but it was a fantastic screening. So it's a good drive-in movie.
I don't rewatch the first one that often either, and I wonder how much of that is like because it is so relentless and intense, or if it's because I'm trying to preserve some of its power, whereas the second one is like a comfort movie for me. I can watch it anytime and
it's got like, it's sort of zany and madcap at times.
Yeah, I watch, but the Halloween sequels are kind of similar. Like I revisit the original Halloween way less frequently than I do Halloween 2, 3, and 4, you know?
Yeah.
Because those are like comfort movies for me. And the first one isn't. The first one is like on this weird special pedestal that I don't want to like overdo it and see it so many times that it loses some of its magic.
I get it. I totally get it. There's certain movies I have that are like that, where it's like, you know what's funny? Like for me, one of those movies is the new Suspiria.
Interesting.
Because
okay.
I always want to watch it, but I'm always afraid to watch it because I don't I don't want to take away from the power of that movie, because for me, like, I'll watch the original Suspiria all the time. Like,
Yeah.
I swear to God, at least once a month, we're like, should we watch Suspiria or Tenebrae? Like, that happens in our house all the time. But yet there's something about Suspiria 2018 that I hold in such a different regard. And I'm not saying that I like it better. It's just it's a different animal for me.
Yeah.
Where, like, I don't want to take away from, like, I feel like you'd almost dilute the power of it
Right.
the more you watch it.
Yeah.
Which is stupid because you don't really, but, like, in my mind, I get it. I totally get it. Which is probably, like, why I watch probably more of the Nightmare sequels than I do, like, the original Nightmare.
Right.
Because 3 you throw on and you're like, oh, Dream Warriors, woohoo, not going to dream no more. And, Dream Master, you get the Fat Boys and stuff. And
are you ready for Freddy?
Are you ready for Freddy? I was. I had that record.
Nice. Did you have the Freddy Krueger album?
I have the Freddy Krueger album.
You do have it currently?
I do have it
nice.
currently.
I do not.
I did have it when I was a kid.
Okay.
And because my mom's boyfriend at the time had brought it home, and when he moved out a few years later, he actually took it. I think it was just mixed in with his records.
Still and not okay.
I know, so it just went away, and then Brian found it when they did the re-release of it a few years ago.
Nice.
So I haven't been able to bring myself to listen to it again, because I remember as a kid thinking it was the coolest thing ever. And I'm just afraid as an adult, I'm going to be like, oh my God, what is this?
Well, you want it to retain some of its power.
Exactly. Like Suspiria, the power of Freddy. But yeah, so it's, I get that. There's definitely certain movies where I'm just like, I just feel like the more you watch it, maybe the more you dilute it. But that's a stupid thing, because, like, sometimes I watch movies a lot and I'm just like, every time I watch them, I'm just floored by their power. Like The Thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but I get it. I totally get it. So what are you moving on to after Tourist Trap?
I am moving on to a very obvious. Most of my choices are very obvious. I wanted to have a Friday the 13th in here because I knew that I couldn't have like a summer slasher marathon without at least one Friday the 13th, because
I agree. Mine will be showing up later. We'll see if ours are the same. Yeah,
there's no franchise is more synonymous with summer than Friday the 13th. I went with part 3.
Okay.
Just because it's kind of the most.
Because you just love.
I love Shelley. I love Dana Kimmel. I love Chris. Just kidding.
Oh God.
She's not a great final girl, but 3 is like the most fun one for me.
Oh, when you start with the disco music, it's like whatever.
It's so endlessly entertaining. And it doesn't have my favorite like cast of characters, but that's okay. I'm not a huge fan of like fake Tommy Chong and
Oh, I love the Stoners.
Do you love the Stoners? I don't love the Stoners.
We always be like, hey, the van's on fire. And all this stuff. And it's like, first of all, it's like they're in the van smoking weed with windows up.
Right.
So everybody in that van is already baked. So I'm like, why are you even passing the joint to anybody else? They're already
because it's
stoned.
3D, man.
I know. Like, there's no way that not everybody in that movie is already stoned out of their mind. And then she's like, oh, I can't. Or she was. No, she didn't smoke weed, but it's like she was going to have a beer even though she's pregnant, which is like such a weird choice.
Why do they make her pregnant?
I don't know.
It's so bizarre.
She doesn't even look a little bit pregnant. Like, she must be just pregnant.
Yeah, it's just such an odd choice to make her pregnant. I mean, it's I guess it's like weirdly transgressive, but it's so strange.
It is, but I like 3. 3's grown on me a lot. I don't love Dana Kimmel. We do a lot of jokes at her character's expense when we watch it.
Yeah.
And I don't blame her. I think the writing for her character was just not great. Because I actually just finally saw Sweet 16.
Oh yeah, and she's good in that.
And she's good in that.
Yeah.
So like I like it's not her, the actress.
Right.
It's the way the character is written. I want this place again. I gotta get to know you again. You know, it's just like, oh my God. So, and it doesn't help that what's his face is wearing like Mrs. Voorhees. Rick is wearing Mrs. Voorhees' sweater in that movie.
Right.
So
Rick's kind of a dud.
Yeah, and I don't even really necessarily like Shelley that much either.
No,
I think
not really.
I think Larry Zerner is the sweetest guy, and I love that he sort of becomes the go-to lawyer guy for horror questions.
Yeah.
Every time there's a new thing with the Friday the 13th case, he's on it. He's given us the information. God bless him. But I think Shelley is written to be kind of a dick, and there's really not a whole lot that's sympathetic about him at all in this movie.
He's like mildly sympathetic until he becomes an incel and he crosses a line and he calls her a bitch or whatever. And it's like, oh, Shelley, you lost me.
Yeah. And that line, that one little line, I'm just like, all right, you deserve everything that's coming to you. But also, if one of your friends was like had recently gone through a severely traumatic experience, would you run around pretending to like get killed multiple times? That's kind of a dick thing to do also.
Yeah.
You know.
Do you think Chris's flashback would have been better if it came from a dog?
100%. Okay. Like there's a dog watching her. I would 100% be better off with that movie if there was a dog flashback.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
All right. What is next for you then?
So my next pick is a lot more fun. We're gonna loosen up a little bit here. Initially, I was gonna go with the original, and I was like, no. I'm gonna zhuzh things up a little bit and have some fun. So I decided for my next pick would be Sleepaway Camp 2: Unhappy Campers.
I came very close to programming it and pulled it out because I was like, I'll bet Heather puts this in.
That's what she said.
Oh, jeez.
But I really like. The original Sleepaway Camp was like such a weirdly formative movie for my childhood. Probably explains a lot, and also explains nothing. I don't know how to explain it, but like that was like my go-to movie when I was a kid and I really wanted to like push buttons. So it took me a long time to sort of get on board with the sequels because they were so different. There's no Felissa. How could you do this to me? And I had to sort of separate them a little bit to appreciate them for what they bring to the table, because by their own merits, Sleepaway Camp 2 and 3 are fantastic movies, and they're goofy, they're zany, Pamela Springsteen is brilliantly like funny in these movies. Like she's so good. And I really, really love her. And I think the reason I love part 2 so much is because of Renee Estevez, who's really sympathetic, and I really like her. And she's also Betty in Heathers as well.
Right.
And she really, really, I just really like her character a lot in this movie. And there's just some really fun deaths in it. Kind of tips its hat to a lot of different slashers beyond Sleepaway Camp itself. Which I could always appreciate, which I don't know why people get so pissed when people do that now in movies. Because I'm like, that's what we all grew up watching, was like movies that would tip their hat to other, I don't know, people get so caught up in these things. But yeah, I really, really love Sleepaway Camp Part 2.
Yeah, it's a really fun one. I don't remember 3 as well.
3 is, I'm trying to remember exactly what the setup was. Okay. Okay. I'm trying to remember. It's just more carnage, but I don't think it's like set up at the camp. I think it's just people who are camping.
Okay.
I've probably watched 3 the least.
Yeah, I know I have. I mean, I haven't seen the second one that many times, but I've seen it enough times to remember it and have fun with it. I feel like I just rewatched it maybe last October or the October before that.
Yeah, it's kind of a bummer because people talk about like sort of like iconic horror villains, and I don't really feel like people give Pamela Springsteen as as Angela in these movies enough credit, because she has a ton of one-liners. So she's almost like Freddy Krueger in a way.
Right.
Where she's like just zipping out these one-liners. And I know that there's something with a garbage truck, like where she says something like, I'm taking out the trash or something, and throws somebody in the garbage truck or runs them over or something like that. But yeah, I haven't. I don't. It's funny because like usually what happens like late night we'll be like, oh, let's watch the sleepaway camp movies, and we do 1 and 2, and then we're like, oh, we're tired because we're old now. So I think I'm going to make it a point to watch 3 more this summer.
Yeah, I should do the same. I like it though. There's going to be a little bit of whiplash going from Hills Have Eyes, Texas Chainsaw into Sleepaway Camp 2.
You got to keep yourself on your toes when it's late at night.
Yeah, absolutely. But it'll give the audience a nice break. Have you seen Return to Sleepaway Camp? I've never watched it. Oh boy, it is something.
I have it, and I've sort of had that. I've heard that type of response for so many years. Where I'm just like, do I need to see it? I think I'm okay.
It's fascinating. I think you should watch it.
Okay.
It's a fascinating look into the mind of Robert Hiltzik.
Interesting.
In the same way that the first Sleepaway Camp is.
All right. I don't know what to make of that.
You know what? I don't either.
Okay.
But I stand by it.
Yeah, because I think it came in that original like Sleepaway Camp box sets thingy. Came out like
that first aid one.
Yeah, because I still have that.
Oh, okay. I don't think it did because it came from a different studio. What they released was like part of Sleepaway Camp 4 that they never finished.
Oh, maybe that's what's on there.
Yeah. But Return is an altogether different movie because they didn't make that one until like 2009 or 2000, right? I think.
Yes. Oh, I just noticed that apparently I could sell my Sleepaway Camp on eBay for like $170.
Yes, you can.
That is interesting. Yeah, there was like some of it. I'm looking at the pictures right now. There's. I'm looking at a picture because I'm away from the set itself, but there is a disc in there that says Sleepaway Camp 4.
Yeah, so that was like an unfinished
version of Return to Sleepaway Camp.
Not even a version of that because Robert Hiltzik has nothing to do with it. It's just an unfinished like sequel to 2 and 3 basically. And then Return to Sleepaway Camp ignores 2, 3, and 4 and is really just a sequel to the first movie.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. I love that people are still buying this thing though.
The first aid box?
Yeah.
That's wild.
It is. I would never get rid of mine though. I love it.
Yeah.
But you never know. Maybe times are tough.
There may come a day.
There may come a day. I know the new Nightmare poster from Mondo goes for like $400 now.
Holy cow.
I know. So I guess if I ever have to solve some money problems, there you go.
You're all set.
I am. So what's next on your list?
My last most basic pick, because my next 3 are maybe a little more esoteric, but I just went with The Burning because I think it's a really strong slasher movie that doesn't. It gets talked about more now that there's a Scream Factory Blu-ray. And, of course, a bunch of the people involved would go on to greater success later in life. So it becomes almost like this footnote movie where it's like Jason Alexander and Holly Hunter and Fisher Stevens and Harvey and Bob Weinstein, all these people who worked on it that then later went on to greater success. And so it becomes a curiosity. But I feel like for a long time, The Burning was kind of overlooked. And I think it's a really strong slasher that never got sequelized. And, again, is summer campy. And I felt like I could program it here because I'd programmed Friday 3 where they're not at a summer camp. I felt safe then going with The Burning where they are at a summer camp.
I get it.
Thank you.
Yeah. I also also worth mentioning, because we talked about the Pino Donaggio score, if that's how you say it. I'm so bad sometimes. But we also have the prog rock tones of Yes in The Burning, too, which is kind of fun.
Oh, I don't think I realized that.
Yeah. Also, I don't know if you realized this when I was reading about Friday 3 when you were talking about it, that apparently, do you know what the original idea for that movie was?
No.
So Ginny, dealing with the trauma of her things that happened on Friday 2, she goes back to school, starts taking self-defense. In her dorm room, Paul's body shows up.
Oh.
And she realizes Jason's still out there. And so she's got to go and deal with him. And she goes back and goes after him. But because Amy didn't want to come back, they had to go a different way. Enter Dana Kimmel.
And that movie sounds cool, but I also like the 3 that we got,
Yeah, I'm not complaining. It would have been cool to see Amy Steele come back. But
definitely.
Dana Kimmel's good too. But yeah, it's funny. Like you'd think for a movie that like with the cast that's involved with it, the iconic imagery of, the cropsey with the shears.
Yeah.
Would like, I don't know why we don't talk about The Burning more, especially during the summer.
Yeah, it's a good summer slasher. It's got that whole raft sequence is like, or not raft, I guess it's a canoe. What would we call it? Boat. There's a bunch of people on board, so it has to be more than a canoe. But it's amazing. Yeah. It's a great sequence.
Yeah. I'm just putting this out there. I'm starting to figure out what we're going to be doing for Class of 81.
Oh, yeah.
This was released in 1981.
It was.
Maybe it's time to put a little respect back on the Burning.
Maybe. I forgot about Class of 81. That's coming up.
I have to figure that whole thing out. But I got nothing going on.
No, you're fine.
It's all fine. I really do like The Burning. Again, I feel like, there's so many movies that have been kind of reclaimed by horror fans over the years, and that's still one that just doesn't quite get enough love. And I mean, it has like Tom Savini kills in it.
Right.
Like we live for this shit, right?
Yeah.
Let's make the summer. This summer is the summer of The Burning. Summer of Cropsey.
Summer of Cropsey is a better.
I think so.
Better hashtag.
This is why I get paid the big bucks.
I know.
Summer of Cropsey. We'll make another shirt. We got a whole line of shirts coming, guys.
Horror BFFs. Summer of Cropsey.
Summer of Cropsey. Now I'm going to watch The Burning, I think, this weekend.
Yay! And Sleepaway Camp 3.
Yes. Yeah, I just remember the garbage truck thing. I remember somebody wants drugs and Angela won't give them to her. The deaths aren't nearly as inventive, I think, as the second one, but they're still pretty fun.
Yeah.
But like her mimicking Freddy and Jason in part 2 is just like the bee's knees. So anyway, we can move into my next pick if you would like.
Okay.
So my next pick is probably sort of one of my more straightforward basic picks. But I went with the 1997 slasher, I Know What You Did Last Summer.
It's got summer in the title.
I mean, right? And also, like, it's 4th of July horror, so that works out. It's nice to have an alternative at 4th of July that isn't Jaws. Not that I don't love Jaws, and we don't watch Jaws 100 times.
Or Bill Lustig's Uncle Sam.
It's nice to have two options, Patrick. No offense to Bill Lustig, but I saw that movie once, and I was like, I love Maniac.
Almost every other Bill Lustig movie is good, actually, but Uncle Sam is not. Yeah, it's
just I love a lot of his stuff. That's just not one of them.
No,
I wish I did. But yeah, that definitely does not make the rounds when it comes to
4th of July.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I love Maniac. I love the Maniac. I even have a soft spot for Maniac Cop 3. I don't think it's as terrible as everybody says it is. It's not great compared to 1 and 2. 1 and 2 are fantastic.
Yeah.
But yeah, Uncle Sam. Anyway, back to what I Know What You Did Last Summer. Yeah, I mean, for me, like, that was, it owes a lot of its success to Scream, which came out a year before. I don't even necessarily love everything about it because I think it's kind of bland in some places. But I love Sarah Michelle Gellar in this movie. I just, maybe I would love this movie even more if Helen had made it through. But, you got to follow the formula of the book. I get it. But yeah, talk about like sort of a movie that's like 90s actors like in a capsule because you have, Jennifer Love Hewitt, Sarah Michelle Gellar, Ryan Phillippe, and then Freddie Prinze Jr. And I also, can I just say how nice it is that like Freddie Prinze Jr. and Sarah Michelle Gellar like are still married and still happy and everything. Like,
It's
I don't
great.
know why, that just makes me happy.
Yeah, me too.
So, and I couldn't put Scooby-Doo on here because it's not a slasher, even though it is a whodunit.
Right.
But, which is sort of the preeminent or the best of the Gellar Prince Jr. collaborations.
I just recently did an F This Movie episode on I Know What You Did Last Summer, and it was my first time seeing it since 1997. I hadn't seen it.
Really?
Yeah. It's not a movie I revisit or even own. So
a lot of it's pretty clunky. Like I wouldn't say it's a hugely well-directed movie, but I'll say there's a few sequences in that movie that are still pretty effective.
Yeah, it's certainly like slick. And there's some stuff in there that I liked. By the end of the conversation, I think I liked the movie more than I thought I did. So it's got that going for it. And I'm with you. I think it's a more interesting movie if Helen becomes the final girl and Julie gets killed off.
Yeah, I kind of wish they maybe would have done that just to sort of differentiate things a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's one of those, like, I remember seeing it in theaters and being like, oh, okay, that was fine. Scream, but whatever. But I think as I've gotten older, I think also too, like, we're always so hard on new movies and we're always really soft on old movies.
Yes.
And that's just human nature. I've accepted it. And so I think it's a movie that I've very much softened on over the years. Where I was like, okay, I need something else to watch during the summer. Why not this?
Yeah.
And there's some pretty good stuff in it. I still, the mystery of it, I think is its least interesting aspect.
Right. Yeah.
But I love that sequence in the store with Brigitte Wilson and Sarah Michelle Gellar and Hook Hand Guy, Ben Willis. Get it? Ben Willis. I still think that's, like, in terms of 90s horror, that's still probably like a top tier sequence from that era of horror.
That's a good pick.
Yeah. So it's basic, but it was like, we're gonna even this out a little bit here. Because I'm about to, get a little dirty again. So I figured I might as well just go with I Know What You Did.
Okay. All right. We're going dark again.
We're going to go dark again, but then we're going to lighten it back up for the last few.
Okay.
Yeah.
Phew.
So what's your next pick?
I'm sticking with the early 80s for most of my marathon. It seems like it's like late 70s, early 80s. And I'm going, because that's really kind of the peak of the slasher film. From 1983, I went with The Final Terror.
Oh, I've never seen it.
It's really good. I had never even possibly heard of it until Scream Factory put it out years ago.
Wait, no, I did see that. I did see the Scream Factory blurry.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
I don't know how that kind of got out of my head.
Well, it's got a really generic title.
Yeah, that doesn't do it any favors.
Right.
I remember Joey Pants is in it.
Joey Pants is in it playing an asshole. Rachel Ward, Daryl Hannah, Adrian Zemed, the great Zemed. is on board, and it's directed by Andrew Davis, who of course would go on to direct The Fugitive. He's a Chicago guy, so obviously I feel
did he do one of the big oh gosh, why am I blanking on that actress? Seagal movies?
He did Above the Law.
Okay.
And he did Under Siege. I think he did 2 Seagals.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. 2 of the better Seagals.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I remember reading up on him when that Blu-ray came out. Gosh, that feels like forever ago. Was that like 2013 now? 2012?
It was like an early Scream Factory disc.
It was 2014, yeah.
Yeah, it was one of
Holy.
Towards the beginning of the company's run, I think. But yeah, it's good. It's, there are a bunch of campers in the woods. I like a backwoods slasher movie. The killer himself is not especially interesting, but I like the atmosphere. The cast is obviously really good. Like The Burning, it's a group of young people who would go on to much bigger things. And because Andrew Davis directed it, it's really well made. And it's just a movie that maybe not a lot of people have seen. So I feel like it's good having gone with 3 pretty obvious choices and 3 pretty well-known slashers. I thought it'd be cool to go with one that's maybe a little bit more obscure here.
I like it.
Thanks.
Now it makes me want to revisit it.
It's good, yeah. I'll probably watch it sometime between now and October.
Yeah, I can't believe, for some reason, this movie just kind of went in and went out.
Yeah. It was, like I said, it wasn't a very well-known movie. It was shelved for like 2 years. They shot it in 81. It didn't come out till 83. And then it didn't have much of a home video or DVD release. So it wasn't until the Scream Factory Blu-ray that I think it showed up on a lot of people's radar.
Yeah. Oh, and I just remembered it has the guy from the Twisted Sister videos in it, right?
Mark Metcalf, yeah.
Yeah. That's fun. Sorry, kids, I'm old. I was just like who starred in which music video?
Right.
So that's my basis for pop culture. Sorry.
No, that's okay. I knew exactly who you meant.
Yes, he was so good. Because he was like in Animal House or something, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not a big Animal House fan, so.
Okay.
Yeah, I know I'm weird.
I'm not. Take it or leave it sounds too dismissive. I'm not a fan, but I'm not a fan.
Gotcha.
I'm not anti-Animal House, but I'm not especially pro-Animal House either. I think it's fine. There's other John Landis movies I like more.
Yeah, I get what it did at the time that it did.
Yeah. What
it did. But yeah, I don't know. It's like maybe because we were of the era. I work in 2 eras in this episode. Of everybody who went away to college, everybody had the Belushi poster from Animal House on their dorm room still. And I was just like, oh, okay. So I was smart. I had Antonio Banderas.
From Never Talk to Strangers?
Desperado.
Oh. I was joking about Never Talk to Strangers.
If only I had a poster of that movie. Are you kidding? I think I'm like the world's biggest Never Talk to Strangers fan because nobody knows that movie.
Obviously I do.
Yes. One of these days we have to start our sleazy 90s thrillers podcast.
Okay.
Because I've just been I keep falling into the hole of watching them here and there. 'Cause sometimes they pop up on Amazon Prime.
I know Jade is on Amazon Prime, but I haven't watched it yet. I mean, I've seen it, but I haven't seen it in a long time. So
I can't believe I saw that movie in theaters.
Did you really?
Oh, I did. Sometimes the Oak Brook Mall theaters were really good at checking IDs. For some reason, we couldn't get into 7, but I could get into Jade. Go figure.
Go figure.
Yeah. So, yeah, we all got kicked. We were all trying to get tickets for 7, and I wasn't 18 yet. And a couple of people weren't. Actually, some of the people were 16, and they were like, no.
Wow.
Yeah. So we had to figure that out. But some reason I got into Jade. Go figure. What a world. What a world. Yes.
All right. Movie number 5.
All right. Movie number 5. I'm going to head out of the States. We're going to go overseas, go to the Outback.
Oh.
We're going to go take a trip to Wolf Creek.
Oh, boy. All right.
I just thought, because there's so many really great, like, Australian, like, outback slasher survival movies that have come out, like, in the last 40 years. And I was like, I feel like Wolf Creek really was like a turning point for sort of modern Australian horror. It's one that, like, I've kind of come back to watching more than I ever thought I would.
Okay.
I don't know how to explain it. I don't know if it's like, the power of John Jarrett. That could be part of it. I never had to watch the TV series, which I've been curious about. But there's just, again, when you talk about sort of like that oppressive, punishing type of slasher, like, this is it.
Yes.
Maybe I was in a bad mood when I made my list or something, but
you just want to punish your audience.
I am punished. We'll save that one for Christmas slashers. But yeah, it's one of these movies that I'm just like, I liked it a lot when it came out. I didn't see it in theaters or anything like that. I rented the DVD. But I found myself gravitating back towards it a lot for some weird, inexplicable reason. But I think it's really, really well done. I'm a really big fan of Greg McLean and the work that he's done. I also really liked Rogue that he did.
I've never seen Rogue.
It's good. And I also think because of when it came out, I really feel like the Belko experiment just kind of got tossed aside because it came out around the same time as Mayhem.
Right.
But they're totally two different premises.
They are. Yeah.
They're not even the same movie whatsoever. So I was I'm a big fan of his.
I've seen Wolf Creek once, and that was kind of good.
You're good?
Yeah, that was enough for me. I can't deny that it's very effective, and I get why you would program it. But yeah, that's a rough one.
Yeah, I just feel like in some ways it was almost like Australia's answer to like the Firefly family in a way.
Sure.
But all in one guy.
Makes sense, yeah.
So for me, it's sort of like the Australian version of like Devil's Rejects or something. I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah.
So I went hard. This is hard summer right here.
The hard summer all over the place.
All over.
Damn.
So do you have something more fun for your next pick?
I do, yeah. This is my most fun pick. Well, Friday 3, is pretty fun, but this one is more horror comedy than anything else. I went with another summer camp movie, this time Theater Camp, because I picked 2014's Stage Fright.
Yay! I love that movie.
Me too, and we're like two of the only people.
It's funny because like I seriously, like, if I ever had the chance to like interview Minnie Driver, it would literally be about the Phantom of the Opera and Stage Fright. That's it. Yeah. Like, she's done so many. I mean, maybe I'd throw some Grosse Pointe Blank in there, but like,
sure.
The way that she's able to sort of take her character from Phantom of the Opera 2004 and sort of channel it into this movie, I just think is really genius. And it's got Meatloaf, which I know he's not a great person these days, but, as somebody who is like sort of raised on Rocky Horror, when you talk about like sort of musical theater mixing with movies, like he's kind of part of that upper echelon. Like it's like the equivalent of getting Tim Curry for me, but it's really good. And I don't know if has the director done anything since?
I don't feel like he has. I'm going to look it up right now. He did a short film that I really loved called The Legend of Beaver Creek or something like that. Legend of Beaver Dam.
Oh, Beaver Dam, yes.
And it's amazing. And if you bought the Blu-ray at Best Buy, it came with a bonus disc that included The Legend of Beaver Dam short. He is not. He's done some TV and some short films and a segment in ABCs of Death 2, but he has not directed another feature since Stage Fright in 2014, which is bananas to me.
Can we kickstart something so he can direct? Because
yes.
I would be all for it. There's like some really fantastic sequences in this movie for like an indie like movie that probably, had like zero budget.
Yeah.
Or I mean, enough of a budget to bring in Meatloaf and Minnie Driver, but you know what I mean? Like,
right. Well, Minnie Driver worked maybe a day.
Yeah. And I bet Meatloaf probably worked 2 days. You could probably get all of his scenes done in like 2 days.
Yeah, he factors in more heavily like towards the end of the movie, but
yeah. But I feel like that a lot of that probably could have been shot in a day or two.
Yeah. And even the lead actor, Ally McDonald, who I think is really terrific. She's done a bunch of stuff, a lot of it like Canadian, so I haven't seen most of it, a lot of TV stuff, I'm assuming in Canada.
And I never saw Under the Silver Lake, so I can't really attest.
I did, but it looks like she barely has a part in that movie.
Okay.
According to, it says Meek Bride, and I'm like, I saw the movie. I don't remember a Meek Bride. It had to be like almost an extra,
Yeah.
But she's terrific in Stage Fright, and I really like Stage Fright. And I wish more people would get on board with that movie.
I don't understand why does horror musicals, why are they so hard for people? Like, for me, as a kid, maybe because I grew up watching music videos where a lot of them told a story.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, horror musicals are just an extension of that. And yet it seems like one of the subgenres that people are so resistant to in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I'm not real sure.
I don't get it.
I haven't seen, there aren't a ton of them, and there are a handful that I think are maybe less successful than others.
Yeah.
But this is one of the ones I really like.
Yeah, I do too. I think we need to bring back some love for Stage Fright.
I'm into it.
I am too. Maybe once every 6 to 8 months, I'll see somebody on Twitter mention it, and I get really excited.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, oh, there's other people out there.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of comes and goes. Kind of a bummer.
All right, so this is your 6th movie of 7. I have one more. You have 2 more.
Yes, we're picking things up now. So I'm going to go with one of my favorite Nightmare on Elm Street entries.
Okay.
I won't say it's one of the best ones. I mean, it is one of the best ones. I think they're all the best, whatever, except for Freddy's Dead. Sorry, Freddy's Dead's fans. But I went with a Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master.
All right.
Because I needed to pick me up after Wolf Creek. I needed to shake it
definitely.
off. I needed some music infused slasher shenanigans. And so, I went with sort of probably my favorite nightmare viewing experience movie, which was Dream Master, because that movie was just so much fun. I think because when I was a kid, and the first one I started driving in West Virginia, which was 3 on summer break or spring break. And I was so distraught at the end of that movie. So it was super fun until the end when Nancy dies. Yeah. And then I was beside myself. So for me, 4 really delivers the fun that I was looking for. So yeah, I'm very much a huge fan of Dream Master. I realize it's not on a technical level one of the best necessarily, but I think it's the most fun out of all of them.
It's very well directed. I mean, it's just the script is a little undercooked, but there wasn't a script when they made it, so that would be why.
And it has Dramarama in it.
I was going to say, are you going to incorporate a Dramarama sing-along?
I could, but nobody needs that.
As part of the marathon? That would wake everybody up at least. Yeah,
I think we'd have to do a quick Dramarama break.
Sure.
So, because there is still a radio station here that plays it once a day, every day.
For real?
It's been doing that since the 80s, yeah.
Oh my gosh, how funny.
Every once in a while I'll catch it on the radio and I get really excited.
Is it just at some point during the day, or is it at the same time every day?
It's at some point, because sometimes I've heard it Back when I used to have a morning commute, I would hear it on my morning commutes every once in a while. Sometimes I would hear it on my evening commutes.
That's wild.
And sometimes on a weekend, like I would hear it like just randomly in the afternoon.
Is the programmer of the station a former member of Dramarama?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I would hope so.
That would explain
be
it.
Super cool.
Or is it Anders? What's his name?
Oh, gosh, what is his name?
I can't believe I came up with Anders.
Andres Jones.
Yeah, there we go.
Yes.
I remembered Anders, but not Jones.
Right? Like, is his name Smith? Yeah, you come up with the harder parts.
Yeah.
Remember how fun it was having the Dream Master people at Flashback a few years ago?
Yes, I do.
Oh, that was a good weekend.
Dream Master bump. More importantly, Dream Master sets up the characters that we know and love who come back in 5, my beloved Part 5.
Yeah, more people need to respect Part 5.
I'm with you.
It's definitely one that's grown on me. As a kid, I don't think I connected to it because of like the pregnancy storyline. Like, you know,
right.
When you're freaking 11 years old, like, you know, whatever. As an adult, I've really come to appreciate Part 5 a lot more.
My first viewing of 5 was at a church lock-in.
That's a great place to do it.
I didn't go to church, but my friend did, and he brought me to the lock-in. And it was like, oh, here's this horror movie about a murderous child rapist and
whose mom is a nun.
A story of not unwanted pregnancy, but, you know,
I kind of feel like
pregnancy.
Kind of is an unwanted pregnancy.
Yeah, I guess once it becomes a dream child.
Yes. I mean, not Alice's, but like I think Amanda Kruger's pregnancy is probably. So, and Lisa Wilcox just rules.
Yeah, she's great.
You know, but I'm not saying anything horror fans don't already know, but she's pretty great. And I really think like her arc in 4 and 5 is sort of underappreciated. Like I get it. I get the love for Heather Langenkamp because she's amazing. And I think about like the 137, the Nancy Thompson arc / Heather Langenkamp arc because of New Nightmare. So it really is Heather's franchise, but boy, Lisa, like she's so freaking good in those 2 movies, like ridiculously good.
Agreed. Yeah.
Sorry to say something so controversial.
Hot take.
That's my hot take,
from
guys.
The horror BFFs.
Stand back, everybody. So what's your final movie?
My final movie is A, one of my favorite slashers, and B, fitting because if this is an all-night marathon, this is going to play at just the right time because it is 1981's Just Before Dawn, directed by Jeff Lieberman. No?
No.
What did you think surprised. I was going with?
I thought you were going to end with the Funhouse.
Oh, sure. The Funhouse, I don't associate with summer directly.
Okay. Do you think for me because like carnival season was always summer in Illinois? That makes
sense, yeah. Because they're in Florida, I guess it could be any time of year, really, right?
That's true.
Yeah. So Just Before Dawn, again, it's a movie about, you know, camping teenagers. Has one of my favorite final girls. Has one of my favorite slasher bad guy deaths in any slasher movie. I think it's just really, really interesting and well directed by Jeff Lieberman. It's a movie that I didn't, again, grow up with. I didn't see this until I was an adult and was pretty knocked out by it. And then every time I revisit it, I like it even more. I just think it's really, really great. And another one that, you know, I'll see on lists of underrated slashers, but it's not in that top tier of movies that people generally talk about. So it's one that I would love to bring more attention to.
Yeah, I have never seen it because I never picked up either of the Code Red releases for it.
Yeah.
And is it streaming anywhere?
I will look, but I don't think so.
Yeah. So I've just, I've never had a chance to see it.
It's super good.
I know. It kind of came like I've sort of gotten in the habit, like, because I can't afford to like buy everything. So it's like if I'm buying movies these days, it's chances are I've either seen it or it's been highly recommended to me enough where I'm like, okay, this is a sure bet.
Yeah.
To put my $20 to $25 down on.
Right.
So
looks like you can stream it on something called FlixFling, whatever that is.
Oh, okay.
But I don't have FlixFling, so
I think it might just be like a free service.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't think it's a pay one.
Okay.
Because I remember finding them when I used to do all my streaming lists and stuff last year.
Okay.
So yeah, there's like so many different streaming services. It's one that I would imagine maybe will show up like on Midnight Pulp or something.
Yeah, maybe.
That would be a really good fit. If you're listening, Midnight Pulp, can you guys get just before dawn so I can watch it? Thanks.
Horror BFF bump.
Yes. I see here that Brad Fiedel did the score too.
Yeah.
How have I not seen this movie?
It's good.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Was there sexy vampire dancing in it?
No.
No, probably not.
Sadly,
okay.
no.
Okay. All right.
There is some sexy dancing, but it's not vampire dancing.
All right. Well, as long as there's some sexy dancing. Yeah. No, I like this because now I have movies I should go watch. And as somebody who loves slashers, that usually doesn't happen.
Yeah. Right.
I'm excited now.
Yeah. And good news, both of the related, I'm on the IMDb page right now, and both of the related news articles on the right-hand side come from Daily Dead.
Of course they do.
Yeah.
Giving you the news, kids.
That's right.
That's what we do. So we do.
What is your final pick? Although I kind of know, based on something you said earlier. I don't know which one. I just know what series it's from.
So, yes. I figured if I was going to go through all these oppressive movies, I was going to end on two really sort of fun high notes for me. So my last movie that I picked for my marathon is Friday the 13th, Part 4, the final chapter.
Very nice.
Yes, because, you know what you need to end your marathon on is like the crisp and clever dance.
Yeah. Corey Feldman shaving his head.
Yeah. You've made it through Hills Have Eyes, and you've made it through Texas Chainsaw and Wolf Creek, and now it's time to dance.
Yeah, I'm with you. Sexy dancing.
Sexy dancing. And again, it's not one that takes place typically at a kids' summer camp.
Right.
Like 1 and 2 do. But, I'm guessing it's summer because they're skinny dipping.
True.
And you don't do that in the winter.
Although we have heard that Judy Aronson got like hypothermia.
She did, which is scary.
Yeah.
But it's what's also interesting about that too is like it is kind of hard to pinpoint the time of year it is, because at some point people are wearing sweaters, but then they're also wearing shorts.
Right.
And like sometimes people are wearing like Corey Feldman's mom's like wearing like a sweatsuit to go jogging in, like, so it's sort of hard. But then like at certain points, Trish is wearing a bathing suit with just a big giant shirt over it.
Right.
So it really is hard to sort of nail down the exact time. But I feel like we're at least on the cusp of summer or at the end of summer.
Yeah.
So
I think you're right.
Yeah. So yeah, my last couple picks were kind of basic, but I was like, this is my marathon, and I'm gonna end it the way I want to. Well,
again, it's a good mix of like stuff that people know and have seen, like crowd pleaser favorites, and then some stuff that's going to challenge them a little bit more, which is exactly what a marathon should be.
And I'm usually the person when I'm doing my marathons where I'm basically like usually favoring the crowd pleasing stuff, and I wanted to push myself a little bit.
Yeah. To Wolf Creek. Of all places.
Yeah, right? Of all places.
Jeez.
I know.
Friday 4 is still my favorite Friday.
I go back and forth between 2 and 4 a lot.
2 rules. 2's great.
Because like 4 is like, for me, it's like my nostalgic favorite. It's the one I grew up with. The one I watched so many times because of Corey Feldman. And so that to me will always be my sentimental favorite. But there's a part of me as an adult who just really, really loves 2.
Yeah. 2's amazing.
So it's like, honestly, like on any given night, if I've just watched Friday 2 is probably my favorite.
Yeah.
If I watch Friday 4 that night, Friday 4 is my favorite.
That makes sense.
You know, it's nostalgia's a fickle beast. What can I say?
These were good marathons.
So that's our slasher movie marathons.
Good job, us.
Good job, us.
Well, that's going to do it for this episode of Corpse Club Horror BFFs. Thank you guys very much for listening. Thanks, as always, to our engineer, Brian, for making us sound good. Make sure you're going to dailydead.com every day for the latest and greatest in horror news and features. Make sure you go to corpseclub.com to find out how you, too, can become a member of the Corpse Club and to listen to further back episodes. And we will see you guys next month. On behalf of my horror BFF, Heather, until next time, everyone, stay scary.